You're having jobs that you're making probably 60 to 80,000 a year. Depending upon if it's you and your spouse, you have children. So you have to come up with a down payment. You have to come up with closing costs. You have to come up with being able to furnish the property and the upkeep of it as well. And then turn around and say, hey, well, you got to pay for your realtor. I mean, that would be hard to be able to get buyers into a home with all those obligations.
It is. It is. Hi, guys. How are you today, Abu?
I'm doing well. Ramadan's almost done.
It's almost done.
Yeah, so we got about a week left. So just getting through these days.
This is awesome. I know. This is that's a good time.
Yeah.
Praying and being close to God.
Yeah. Clarity.
Yeah. Cleansing yourself.
Cleansing myself.
Hopefully you're not eating crazy.
No, I'm not. If you could tell, I've lost some weight a little bit.
Because I'm sure some people, they overcompensate when it's time to eat, huh?
Well, you would think so, but as you're fasting, your stomach starts to shrink. So after you drink, that cup of water and about 2-3 bites, you're already full.
Hey guys, how you guys doing today? I am Danielle Bilumbu, your host right here at Let's Keep It Real Now. And we have here we just start talking. I don't know. I'm doing things upside down today, but that's okay. You already know Abu Dhabi, which is AMP Lending, top lender in town.
In town.
And anywhere in Texas.
Yes. If I can't do it, nobody can.
So today I wanted to talk to you guys to very sensitive topics regarding my practice, my profession that I dearly love. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of you saw that in the news, and I also received gazillion of text message, email, and phone call regarding what's going on with National Association of Realtors. And this is for you guys, public. I really want you to pay attention, to listen. If you have any question, do not hesitate to reach out to us directly. Even put your comment below, because we're going to talk about what exactly is going on, because a lot of people really don't understand.
Yeah.
So that will be the subject for today. So I'm sure some of you heard that National Association of Realtors settled for $418 million because some seller decided to sue them, saying that the commission were fixed and they never have a choice and they have to pay the buyer agent compensation on the other side, and that was not fair. The consumer didn't understand it. I feel like they were played pretty much. Yeah. This is my own term, my own way. But remember, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just sharing with you my personal opinion about it. Always consult with a lawyer and your attorney if you need more details about what's going on.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So what do you think about all of this?
Well, I mean, when it first came down the tunnel, all the realtors that I have relationships with, they were like, oh my God, what is this going to do to the business? What's going to happen? So for me, I was just advising them, let's just wait. I mean, it's just coming down. Let's wait, let the dust clear, and let's see what the actual particulars are going to be with this actual subject matter. The way I look at it, I feel like it's going to, take out a lot of realtors that aren't really real realtors in the business.
For sure.
Right? So when the influx of business came in at 2020, 2021, you had a lot of realtors getting into the game just to be a part of getting those commissions.
I know.
Right?
For a little while, we had more realtor than houses for sale.
Yeah. So
inventory was like, woo.
Yeah. So when you start looking at the numbers of realtors that came in to get their license within that time period, I think we're at a record high. So I think with this thing, it's going to really separate the professional realtors from the newcomers. And you're going to start seeing better transactions and people really homing in on their craft and understanding what they're doing, because it's going to be more competitive when it comes to realtors now.
Yeah, for sure. But this business always been competitive. Since day one that I started, it was always being competitive. Doesn't matter if you're working with a buyer or a seller, everybody know a realtor in their life.
Yeah.
Everybody has a cousin, a friend, a coworker, whoever, because it's one of the easiest lower level of entry to start a business and be independent, right? You just need to in Texas, you just need to go to complete few hours in classes, and then go ahead and pass your test. And with $200, you're ready to go for a business. And then with that, realtor, the profession in real estate, you can make as much money as a doctor.
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely, And then people, for those that are doing really, really well, and they know what they're doing, they have experience, they have all the credentials,
Like
they learn.
You.
They learn and they pay attention to what's going on, and they
Yeah.
try to use technology. They're really confident. They know what they're doing with their customer. They understand the contract, the laws, and consistently get to know what's going on around them. They're really doing really, really well.
Yeah,
You can
sure.
make some realtor that I know, they make over $1 million a year easy.
Easy.
But before we start and break it down, all this lawsuit and what exactly happened, I wanted to tell you a little bit about history about real estate. United States is one of the best place in the world to practice real estate. Literally, like you hear my accent. I grew up in France. The real estate market is completely different. They don't have the system of MLS that is in place that America has. People kind of trying to figure out a way to find homes. They don't have a centralized place they can find homes for themselves. Oftentimes, the buyers are not represented. They also have a lot of owner. They place their home on the market for themselves, and it takes them months. Those transactions in Europe takes months. In the US, you can put your home on the market if it's priced right and is marketed properly, and you do have the right representation. Your home can get on the contract within 30 days, very easy, and then get on the contract and you close 30 days after that if the buyers has the loan, or within 7 days if it's cash transaction.
Yeah.
Where in Europe, it may take 3 months. Sometimes I have some friends and family member when they enter in the contract, in order for the loan to go through, the process is so much longer to find, to build, to get on the contract, finally moving into the home. And then one of the things also help is as a agent immobilier en français, and at least a realtor in America, it's the commission structure, the way it was made and created really helped people practice, and probably that's the reason why this is so dynamic, because real estate represents about 20% of the economy here in America. So let's look at the history. So how all of this started. So in about 1913, buying and selling home required a lot of legwork in general, right? There was no centralized database of listing and buyer's agent. I took some notes, so I write it down to make sure I don't forget anything. So I'm going to be reading a lot today. So buyers, database of listing and buyers and agent had to put into a lot of travel time, going left and right in the neighborhood to find available home for sale. And then through the 1920s, things got a little bit better, and also the commission that listing agent used to charge used to be about 2.5%. I know, right? And home used to sell $6,000.
Wow.
And then many buyers agent were getting a commission of $75 per transaction, which really, really was low. I don't, maybe $75 now is very low, but I don't know how much it represented back then. And in the 1940s and 60s, the commission changed a little bit, got a little bit higher, and the average was about 5 to 6%. And it's been like that for decades.
So, okay.
So, but when we came in towards the 1990s, buyer representation started to be more popular back in the 80s. People wanted to be represented. I'm sure, I bet it was a lot of lawsuits going on and people get screwed.
Yeah.
And they realize maybe they need somebody to help them navigate the process of purchasing a home, especially for a lot of American real estate. Their home is the biggest asset of their life.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people become wealthy because of real estate. You know, sometimes you don't need to do much. Like if you buy multi-unit family, for example, and then you live on one side and you rent the other side, and then you build equity because the house go up in value. It's not 100% always guaranteed, but historically have shown that the home value increase. And on top of that, you're charging a rent. They can help you pay your mortgage, or you can do a profit out of it, and you can use it as a tax benefit for yourself. Exactly. You know, So by being like that, a lot of people realize, hey, maybe I need someone to help me navigate the process. So back in 1993, National Association of Realtors put in place some policies to allow a broker to offer compensation through MLS, which is multiple listing services. And then that's kind of today, that brings us back to today where we're having some conflict. So the co-op commission sharing is pretty much saying that I'm the listing agent. I'm going to represent you to sell your home. I'm going to put your home on the market and then trying to find you the buyer that will be able to purchase your home. But the commission then I'm going to charge, I'm going to let you know if you agree, seller, that I'm going to use half of that and I'm going to split it with the agents who's going to bring me a buyer.
Yeah.
And then so that allowed buyers to be represented and then not necessarily have to worry about the commission of their buyer agent. It's not free and never been free, but the practice have put buyer in a position where they didn't have to worry too much about the commission because the listing agent on our MLS sheet still today saying, hey, if you want, if you bring me the buyer, the seller allow me to give you XYZ percentage for you if you bring your buyer for this house. You'll be compensated that much.
I could kind of see how that concept was established and how it was put together because me being a seller, right, I want to sell my home. Typically, when you want to sell your home, you've been living in that home probably from 7 to 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. So you pay that house down a certain amount, and that house is appreciated in value over that time as well. So if I'm wanting to sell the house, I'm creating a transaction, right? And then you have all these different entities that are going to be making money off of my sale of my home because I've made that decision to want to sell my home. So you got the title company, you got the appraiser, you got the inspector, and now you have the realtor on both sides, right? So with that equity that's in the home, I mean, it would only be fair, you know, initially when they created this, okay, I go find the realtor to sell my home, and then that realtor, we have to attract the home to buyers, right? And then as we're attracting the home to buyers, that buyer has to, in time, go find a realtor to be able to represent them to buy the home because typically when you have a new buyer coming in, they don't know anything about the transaction.
Absolutely not. Like most people in the public, they have no idea what it, you know, I meet some people, you would say super sophisticated buyer because they may be buying a $800, $1 million, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you have people that went to college and people that didn't went to college. Even lawyer, they don't want to represent themselves during this type of transaction, and then they don't know nothing. You know, they don't know when you what to do with the lender. Some people call me and they say, "Hey, I want to buy a house and I'm ready to start looking." No.
Yeah.
Have you talked to a lender?
Exactly.
Where are your finances? How much debt do you have? You know, I kind of asked a pre-qualification question, and most people they don't know.
Yeah, and then you have the buyer. You know, you have to come up with the down payment, right? And the majority of people when they're purchasing a home, you're going to be dealing with middle class people, right? So you're having jobs that you're making probably 60 to 80,000 a year, you know, depending upon if it's you and your spouse, you have children. So you have to come up with a down payment. You have to come up with closing costs. You have to come up with being able to furnish the property and the upkeep of it as well. And then turn around and say, hey, well, you got to pay for your realtor. I mean, that would be hard to be able to get buyers into a home with all those obligations.
It is. But let me just tell you exactly what was the main lawsuit reason was. So the class action lawsuit are now challenging the statu quo, arguing that the seller should not be responsible for the buyer broker commission. That's where a lot of the seller, they're like, why should I go ahead and pay somebody else agent representation? You know, if you want to buy a house, you should be able to afford your own representation. That's not fair for me to pay your realtor, commission. But when we look at that part, I'm like, okay, it is true because I've been a seller myself and I've flipped homes, so I know. But in the meantime, it's like you will not be able to make that money. Let's say most sellers, they have a lot of equity in their home, over 40%. based on since 2019 because the home value increases so much during COVID. So because you have all this equity in the house, now you need to sell it, but you will not be able to sell it if you don't have nobody that purchase it, right? So you have someone who has the money from a lender, they will pay for it, but if you have nobody that can afford their realtor and people are scared to buy now, would you still be able to sell the home?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we have to look at I'm looking at both sides. I understand the seller side, but also have to understand the buyer side. Most buyers, they don't have that much in cash.
That was my point. That was my point. And I'm thinking this has been going on for, at least the last 30, 40 years, right? With this setup on how the seller was structured to be able to pay for the buyer's representation. So I'm thinking now that we have inflation and things are going up, maybe that's why the sellers are starting to cry about how much they're spending, because they're seeing at the end how much they're netting is not that much money when they're selling their home.
It is true. Probably they're thinking, or maybe just some people, they're just like, yeah, I don't want to pay for somebody else's representation. I understand it, but we also have to understand. So when we look at the National Association of Real Estate changing business, they decide to change the business practice. So pretty much what it says for this lawsuit, I'm going to read it exactly how they place it online. National Association of Realtors, NAR, agreed to create a new MLS rule prohibiting offer of compensation on MLS. This will mean that the offer of compensation could not be communicated via MLS, but there could continue to be an option consumer could pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with their real estate professional. So what it means is right now, when an agent go online and then he sees on the MLS that a home is available, it's listed how much commission the owner agreed to pay the other party, the realtor. And then if, for example, I'm just throwing out number, is not necessarily mean this is what it is all the time. I'm just throwing out number, guys. So let's say the agent is a $300,000 home, and the seller say I'm gonna just pay 3% that to the buyer agent. That 3% on the $300,000 is $9,000. So this will not be able to be shown anymore on MLS. So what's gonna be is like I think the reason why they didn't want that to be shown anymore, because sometimes the seller were afraid that now if I don't offer compensation, no agent will want to show my home and I won't be able to sell it. So pretty much that's the reason why I think they put this rule there, because they want to make sure their home has a chance to be seen and then not necessarily pushed aside because there's no compensation offered, which I understand. Number 2 is National Association of Realtors also agreed to create a new rule requiring MLS practicing working with buyer to enter into written agreement with their buyer before buyer tours a home. NAR has long encouraged its members to use written agreement to help consumers understand exactly what service and value they provide and for how much. So this one here, what it means for you, public, is if you sit down with an agent, before you go look at a house, I'm part of a National Association of Realtors. I pay my dues with them. Before I take you out looking at a house, you must sign a written buyer agreement with me. We will not go, if this is put in place because they try to see if they submitted their request and see if this can be accepted. It's going to be put in place on July 1st. Okay. So until July 1st, you'll have fine. But after July 1st, if you call me and say, Danielle, I want to look at a house. No problem. Before we go, you need to sign my buyer's representation agreement, because I will not have the right to tour and show your home before you sign an agreement, say that you're going to pay me before I start showing your home. So
prior to this ruling, let's go back.
Yes.
Prior to this ruling, as an actual seller calls you, hey, Danielle, I'm thinking about putting my house up for sale. Mm-hmm. So you go to their home or wherever y'all meet, and then how does it work? So basically you'll say, okay, I agreed to represent you. Are you putting in a seller's rep agreement together?
Yeah. So when someone wants to sell a home, they contact me. I go to the home. I tour the house. I evaluate. I give them advice what needs to be done so they get the home ready for the market. I run comp and I give them my broker opinion as for pricing, where we should place the house on the market. And then we have paperwork. So listing, we do not have the right to place a home on MLS, multiple listing services, on the market with as long you're a member of NAR, without a constant agreement from the seller. And in that agreement, I have a section that will talk about the commission.
Okay.
I will say, hey, I charge XYZ. My commission is due based on my personal service, what I believe I'm worth to be paid. It has nothing to do with Joe or Mary, whatever commission they do, right? It's based on what I believe I should be paying. This is my practice, and this is how I deserve to be paid. But also, there's another section in there that say, okay, so in the event I bring you a buyer who has his own representation, a realtor, this is how much money, or this is how much out of the commission you and we agree, I will pay them.
So it's your decision
as a listing agent,
as a listing agent, to give to the buyer's agent whatever percentage you feel that buyer agent should get.
Yes. But I talk about it with my seller. I say, hey, let's say I'm charging you 5%, right? We agree of 5.5%, 5% or 4%, whatever. Let's say we agree on 4%. I say, okay, seller, well, I'm going to go ahead and use out of the 4% that you give me, I'm going to use 2% to provide that to the buyer agent, and we discuss about that. And I break down exactly to my seller how the commission is paid, who gets what, how, and that's the conversation you have with a listing agent.
So is the cap on that commission, is that 6%?
There's no cap. You can charge 10% if you want to. You can charge 20% if you want to. You can charge 1% if you want to. The commission are negotiable. It always been. Always was, always are, and always will be. But it feel like some people in their mind, they think that it was not. And then that's the reason why I believe this lawsuit came, because a lot of consumers felt like, I feel like I didn't have a choice. They feel like blindsided probably. They feel like it wasn't clearly explained to them. That's their feeling, based on everything that I was reading.
So the rule of thumb was typically the seller's agent takes 3%, and then the buyer's agent takes 3%.
Yes.
That was the rule of
that
thumb.
Was being kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So it's divided like that. And then, but the seller always had the opportunity to agree or not.
Okay.
Okay. The seller has that right. And then, but a lot of people didn't understood they could.
But typically the seller's agent is going to be doing more work on the transaction than the buyer's agent, correct?
The seller's agent, meaning the listing agent?
The listing agent.
I think the work is kind of the same, but it's different. When you represent a seller, you have different set of skills or things to do when you represent a seller. It's not the same. When you represent a seller, my job is to get the property sold and seen among as many people as I could.
But you have to have open houses. You have to stage the home if it needs to be staged. You need to tell the seller what things that they need to do to fix the house up to make it appealing. Yeah,
sometimes I bring contractor in the home. I help them I give my decoration idea, my suggestion and stuff like that. And then when the house is finally on the market, you do all the marketing around it. Maybe you send a postcard. Maybe you put the property on magazine. Yeah. Maybe you do some videos. You do a lot of things about it. And then you do whatever it takes to have as many people that can see this property and want to come and tour it and want to submit an offer. And then you call other realtor, you call other business professional, you call other people that you know, to come, to cause traction and have someone to do. And I didn't list everything that we do to get a property sold, but you do a lot of work like that. My job is to create buzz and energy around this home to attract that person who's going to come and purchase it.
And then the buyer's agent basically just brings their buyer over to the property, tell them what the attributes of the area is, school district, how tall the ceilings are, the amenities that the house comes with, things like that.
Yes.
Correct?
And then the buyer agent on the other side, when you work with a buyer, your job is to find them the home. You can find them the home on the market based on MLS. That's what we'll be using. Or you find them the home off market, right? Because sometimes the house they want is not available, especially during the time that we went through and we're still going through where inventory is not as high as it used to be. And then we're more on the seller's market, meaning there's more buyer, more demand than inventory available. So you do what you could to find a home for that buyer, but also outside of finding the home for the buyer, you also do all the analysis to make sure the house is priced right. You also all the work as far the property really meets your buyer criteria. So you do this kind of search for them. You also the middle person where you know who to contact if based on the buyer's need, all the inspection you need to go through, like if the house has a well, a septic, regular general home inspection, termite, and things of that nature. And then both agent do negotiation, right? We're trying to get the best price and term for our client, right? So it's a lot of work that comes to place. And when you work with a buyer, and I want to really emphasize that when you work with a seller, most people, they don't like to move. So if somebody needs to sell their place, it's because they really don't have a choice. They have to move for a reason. We always have a very good reason why we have to move, right? When I was pregnant, I was living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home up north in Spring, Texas, and I got pregnant with baby number 3. We had to go. We were sharing all 1 bedroom because I didn't want to put the babies, my other 2, in a guest bedroom. So we're all in the same room, and I was pregnant with baby number 3. I didn't give a choice to. When we were talking with my husband, I was like, we got to go. I know you don't want to move. You don't have a choice. We must go, right? Or somebody passed away, right? And then they can't afford the place no more. So they need to sell it or maybe put it for rent or job relocation. You were living in Kansas and then you moved to Texas. You need to go. So, or just the house is not functionable. You work from home. You don't have an office dedicated for yourself. And you do have maybe roommate, maybe your husband, maybe both of you work from home, or you have the kids and you need a dedicated space to work. So you need an office. So you got to go. But on the buyer side, oftentimes people don't realize when you work with a buyer, it's a lot of legwork. So like I say, listing agent is more mental work. And then buyer agent is a lot of labor work because you're showing them, you go and you do all of that and you show them plenty of home. And sometimes the buyer, they don't have to buy. They can always stay where they are, rent or stay with family members, right? How many times that we're working with a buyer for 6 months and some of them take them 2 years or some of them take them 3 years to buy their home, right? We have a buyer representation agreement, but I've been showing them homes. Weekend I'm gone. Sometime evening you have to show them, because when you work with a buyer, the buyer agent has to show home to his buyer on time they're off. So if your client work 9 to 6 every single day, and the only time he has is to look at the property after 6 o'clock, especially during that period where we have crazy multiple offers, you could not really be picky as far when you can show the home, because you got to go. Or you show home on the weekend, or you show home on the holidays when everybody's off, you working, right? So I'm not saying all of that for you guys to look at me and say, oh, poor you. No, it's not. It is true. It's not poor me, but people really don't realize, like, and I think the mistake that I also personally do for myself is I like to fix the problem. I'm a fixer, right? There's a problem or there's something going on. I want to make sure that my client is satisfied and is taken care, and I share away, hide all the issue of the transaction, because I don't want to overstress, because it's very stressful to purchase a home. And I don't want to overstress my client, so I don't tell them anything. That's a mistake. Now I'm going to just let them know also what's going on, because some people feel like it's so easy and they're like, I could do the job. But you were not here when I'm wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning writing letters to send in a specific neighborhood because I can't find you the home. You were not here when I park my car and I just knock on everybody's door in a specific neighborhood to see if anybody outside of that didn't list the home will be willing, to sell the home for you. You're not here where I was supposed to. A lot of buyer agents are supposed to go whatever family function, and they couldn't because they have to to find you the home because you're a buyer you're in a crunch, you're in a deadline, right?
Yeah.
Your lease is about to expire, or your landlord say they're selling the home, they're closing a specific day, and they need you out. So you're a realtor, you feel that pressure, and people will call you consistently,
Yeah.
and then we're not just realtor. We also, I don't know, psychiatric and psychologists and
Yes.
marriage counseling and
Yes. Yes.
and all the things they come with it, because we're dealing with human. This is people lively, and then you take upon you, and you want to make sure you take care of them really, really well. And people don't really realize how much work it is.
Well, that's true. That's true.
To work in real estate. A lot of people think, oh, it's easy. I show home and I just open door. No, we do more than just open doors, and it's not easy. And the proof is most realtors, they don't survive. They don't survive past their first 2 or 3 years. And 5 years is what 80% will quit,
Yeah.
and only the little one will stay.
It's a high turnover, right?
It's a high turnover when you start, and then they also don't realize when you become a realtor, there's a lot of fees also, right? You do have your fee for all the association you have to pay, and you probably you have broker fees, and then maybe you do have a lot of expense because you have to market, right? And then you spend all that money, so it's not easy. And then the seller, they feel like they didn't have a choice in a commission, which is not really true. There's so much competition in this business.
Yeah.
So much competition. You could go as a seller, if you want to sell your home, you can contact a discount broker. Some people, they just charge you a very tiny commission, and they just say, hey, this is my commission, and then it's very, very, very discounted. You can go with them. You can call a flat fee broker, but this is my flat fee, and then but they will not do all the work that someone else will charge a little bit more. And you have the regular brick and mortar person, just the boutique brokerage or the realtor. They will do all of that, and that's the reason why they charge what they charge.
Yeah.
So when those sellers will say we didn't have a choice, we feel like the commission are set, and then it's not true. You have the iBuyer. Zillow was part of the iBuying business. They get out because they realized it was not really profitable for them. And you also, you can go see one of them, and then see, hey, could you buy my property for me so I don't have to deal? So there is so many different ways you can sell your home available out there. You are not forced to use a realtor and pay them 8%. You're not forced. People have choices, and it's your responsibility, seller, to go and do the research, who you can hire, interview people in order to sell your home.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people feel like those realtors, they didn't help them. No, you do have the choice. This is America.
Yeah.
Plenty of choice available.
Yeah.
Plenty of choice available. It's just the same that if you decide to go and if you need to replace your roof, you're going to call all the roofer around. If you're not happy with the price,
Yeah.
you contact another roofer and see how much they charge.
Yeah.
So
But it's you in my eyes, you're paying for what you get, right?
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, depending upon what type of seller you are, what type of customer service you're wanting, how quick you want to sell your home, how urgent it is, all that's going to anticipate into the type of realtor that you're going to go ahead and associate yourself with. So typically, like when you're doing that interviewing process, you're just explaining to the seller how long you've been in the business.
My marketing to get the property sold.
Okay. How you going to sell that home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My unique proposition value. Why I'm worthy for them to hire me. What are my skills? What are my credentials? Bring them example what I've done in the past. Bring my stat, my numbers. To show them, hey, out of that many transactions, this is the percentage that my seller were able to sell the home at price, close to the price, or above list price. And I just tell them my price, and then the price always being negotiable.
Okay.
Always, I always have people come and say, "Well, I don't want to pay you that price. I want to pay that price," and it's up to me, who's talking to my client, to say yes or no. And then sometimes I had to say no because there's a minimum there, I'm not willing to go. And then I know oftentimes in the past also with us showing on MLS that the commission is that much for buyer agent, if I offer a commission that is way too low, a lot of agent, unfortunately, they probably would not want to show that house. So oftentimes I had to reduce my part and then give the other part a little bit bigger to make sure I attract the people and still get my property sold within a timely manner. On the lending side, I just wanted to add also for National Association of Realtors, they deny that there's no wrongdoing and maintain that the cooperative compensation is in the best interest for the consumer. So NAR, by selling, does not say they're wrong, okay? They didn't do anything wrong. They just want to make the lawsuit go away and stop. So hopefully, once again, you learn a lot. Let us know what you think. Do you think it'll benefit you, buyer or seller, or what you thought on that? Where's your mind? Make sure to send us your comment. Do not hesitate to contact us if you need any help regarding your real estate need. Thank you so much for watching today. It was great being with you, and à bientôt.
Good evening, guys.